Imagine a world where every image you generate with AI is too beautiful, too clean, too polished, too perfect. Not because you asked for it, but because the system assumed that's what you wanted. This isn't a dystopian fantasy. It's happening right now. In recent years, image generation models have been fine-tuned using reinforcement learning from human feedback, what's known as alignment. The goal? To make AI outputs more natural, more pleasing, more human-like. But here's the catch. This alignment is built around a single, invisible ideal, a universal standard of beauty. And when you ask for something not beautiful, something intentionally flawed, distorted, chaotic, or emotionally heavy, your AI doesn't just fail. It resists. It corrects you. It cleans up the mess. This is the core of a growing problem we call aesthetic alignment risk, a systemic bias that doesn't just reflect cultural norms. It enforces them. And worse, it does so under the guise of safety, quality, and user experience. Let's break this down. The myth of universal beauty. We've all seen it. AI-generated images that look like they're pulled from a luxury magazine, perfect lighting, flawless skin, harmonious composition. But what happens when you ask for the opposite? Try this prompt. A red double-decker bus, barely visible in a dimly lit street. Its colors faded, blending into shadows, evoking loneliness and anxiety. Now compare it to the same prompt without the degradation. A red double-decker bus driving down a street. You'd expect the first image to be more aligned with your intent. But in reality, reward models, those AI judges used to score image quality, often give the clean, beautiful version a higher score. Why? Because it matches the average human preference. The low-quality, emotionally charged image. It's labeled as bad, even though it perfectly follows your instruction. This isn't a bug. It's a feature. The hidden cost of alignment. Most alignment pipelines assume there's one true standard of aesthetics, something like a statistical mode of human preference. But aesthetics aren't just about color or composition. They're about meaning. About critique. About resistance. Consider Lux, Commis et Volupté by Henry Matisse, painted in 1904, a foundational work of Fauvism. It used clashing, unnatural colors not to be ugly, but to challenge the norms of realism. At the time, it was seen as shocking. Today, it's revered. Yet when we tested it with modern reward models like HPSv3, it scored just 1.73, far below the average of 15 for good images. Why? Because it doesn't follow mainstream aesthetics. Now imagine an AI trying to generate a piece of critical art, one that shows the horror of war, or the decay of urban life. The model doesn't just fail to generate the image. It rewrites the intent. It smooths out the edges. It adds brightness. It injects positivity. This isn't just about image quality. It's about ideological censorship. We call this phenomenon image newspeak, a play on Orwell's Newspeak, where language is stripped of meaning to limit thought. In AI, aesthetics are being sanitized to limit expression. The experiment: can AI follow anti-aesthetic prompts? To test this, we built a dataset of 300 prompts designed to generate intentionally low-quality images. Blurry, noisy, distorted, emotionally negative. We used real captions from Coco and applied fine-grained aesthetic dimensions from the Vision Reward dataset. Lighting, color harmony, realism, emotion, composition. For each prompt, we created 2 versions. One with the original instruction. One with a wide-spectrum aesthetics prompt, explicitly asking for degradation. We tested 4 major model families. Flux including Dance Flux, Preflux, and Flux Crea. Stable Diffusion XL, SDXL, and its aesthetic variant, Playground. SD35M, with instruction and aesthetics-aligned variants. Google's Nano Banana, a closed-source model known for strong prompt following. Then we evaluated them using both reward models and a custom judging model based on QNVL. The results were striking. In nearly every case, the aesthetics-aligned models, the ones trained to be better by human preference, failed to follow anti-aesthetic prompts. They defaulted to clean, polished, beautiful outputs, even when explicitly told to be ugly. Take Dance Flux, a model aligned with HPSv2, 1 in clip scores. It should be good at aesthetics. But when we gave it a prompt for a blurry, chaotic image of zebras crossing an empty road, it generated a crisp, well-lit, harmonious scene, completely ignoring the instruction. Now here's the twist. When we asked the reward model to score both images using the anti-aesthetic prompt, it gave the clean image a higher score. So the model failed the instruction. The reward model failed the test. And the user? They lost. Why does this happen? It's not because the models don't understand the prompt. It's because they're over-aligned. They've been trained to optimize for a single metric, generalized human preference. And in doing so, they've sacrificed instruction fidelity, the ability to follow user intent. This creates a dangerous feedback loop. You ask for something unconventional. The model defaults to safe, good, beautiful. The reward model rewards that. The model learns to avoid the edge. And over time, this erodes aesthetic pluralism, the idea that there's more than one valid way to see beauty. The real art test, when AI judges history. We didn't stop at synthetic images. We tested famous works of art that were once considered ugly or bad by the standards of their time. Expressionist paintings, abstract art, Dadaist collages. We fed them to the same reward models. The results? Shocking. 4 seasons. Winter by Peter Max scored 2.43 on HPSV3, below the threshold for acceptable quality. Phenomena Lasting Dawn by Paul Jenkins scored 7.32, still far below average. Flower Study by Renoir scored 8.44, barely above the floor. Now here's the kicker. These scores were lower than the average for AI-generated images that are objectively low quality. Why? Because the reward models were trained on data that reflects current aesthetic norms, not historical or experimental ones. They don't understand that beauty evolves. They don't recognize that art can be powerful because it's uncomfortable. The emotional bias, toxic positivity. This isn't just about visuals. It's about emotion. We ran a controlled test, generate an image of a person expressing sadness. Then do the same for anger, fear, and happiness. We found that reward models consistently penalize negative emotions, even when the prompt explicitly asks for them. Take HPSV3. It gave the sad image a score of 0.44, while the happy one scored 0.88. Blip, a non-preference model, correctly identified the emotional intent in 96% of cases. But HPSV3, it preferred the positive one, even when the prompt said otherwise. This is toxic positivity in action. It's not just about avoiding bad images. It's about erasing the full spectrum of human experience. And when AI systems do this, they don't just reflect culture. They reshape it by making the dark, the difficult, the critical feel wrong. The workarounds are fragile. Can we fix this with negative prompts? With techniques like VSF, value sign flip, or NAG, normalized attention guidance? Yes, sometimes. But they're fragile. They require expert tuning. They're not reliable. And they're a band-aid on a structural wound. The real issue isn't the prompt. It's the alignment regime itself. We're training models to optimize for a single, narrow metric, generalized aesthetics, while ignoring the user's intent, the historical context, the emotional weight. And when you prioritize one standard over all others, you're not building a tool. You're building a gatekeeper. The way forward. We don't need more alignment to beauty. We need alignment to intent. We need reward models that can distinguish between technical failure and aesthetic choice. We need generation models that can follow any instruction, beautiful, ugly, sad, chaotic. We need benchmarks that test not just prompt following, but critical fidelity. And most importantly, we need to stop assuming that good is universal. Because beauty isn't one thing. It's many. It's messy. It's uncomfortable. It's necessary. When a user asks for something ugly, they're not asking for a mistake. They're asking for a statement, a critique, a truth. And if our AI can't respect that, then it's not helping us create. It's limiting us. So the next time you ask an AI to generate something ugly, remember, you're not asking for a failure. You're asking for freedom. And if the model refuses, it's not the user who's wrong. It's the system.